Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Absol800 here, returning triumphantly with a new Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for the new link format that we are currently in. Uh, it's been a while since my last video, I understand that, but it was more or less needed and necessary for me to take quite a long break from both YouTube and from both making videos and from both the game in general, because since my last video, the game just got really stale to where it's like not really worth playing in the game for a while. I did stay up to date with the game for a while. I went to a couple locals and regional events between my last video and this video, but those were just like side things so that I can stay at least up to date with the game and like just have a good old time to myself. But regardless of the fact, I managed also to give myself a couple of new specs for producing more videos. Like right now, you may notice that I'm not shaking as much, and that's because I finally got a new tripod for my phone, because I don't have an actual production camera. So, but anyways, I'm here today to give you guys a new deck profile on on basically a classic deck that I basically decided to build back up within the last minute, because I went to locals this last week and I couldn't think of any other deck to build because the past couple ban lists took away Norden, so I couldn't really play my reptile deck like I wanted to. So this was the next best thing, and also link format came out as well. So, and this deck doesn't really rely on the link mechanic as much. So anyways, I'm coming at you guys today with an updated deck profile of my Gravekeeper's deck. It's nothing too out of the ordinary. It's just built pretty much like from the box to the deck, and just like ready to do like almost no planning whatsoever, but just planning, foreseeing, and you'll see in the deck like my decisions or my card choices aren't quite superior as they probably should be for the current format, like taking care of Zodiacs, True Dracos, anything like that. Anyways, I'm here. I'm back. I'm ready to try and get back to producing more videos for you guys. I do have quite a few lined up and ready to go. This is just going to be the start of a return for Absol800 back on YouTube. So Gravekeeper's deck profile updated for the current link format, moving into August 2017. Hope you guys enjoy, and let's get started. So for starters in the Gravekeeper lineup, monsters, I've got 3 copies of Commandant, basic, pretty self-explanatory. Discard this from your hand to search your Necrovalleys. 1600 on board, goes up to 2100 under the effects of Necrovalley, and it's just a good card overall. And you pretty much need this card to search out your Necrovalleys. Next up, 3 Gravekeeper Spy, pretty self-explanatory. It's standard in almost any Gravekeeper deck. This is pretty much mandatory to run at 3. Basic flip effect, being able to special summon a Gravekeepers from your deck to the field that has 1500 or less attack. It's always good. A couple times I find myself using Spy to just search another Spy in order to go into my extra deck for when the time is right and if it calls for it. But Spy overall is just really good. And under Necrovalley is 2500 defense, which is really difficult for most decks to sometimes get over. However, like in True Dracos and Zodiacs, it's like not that big of an issue for them, but it's whatever, and it's Gravekeepers, so Gravekeepers got to make do with what they have currently. So that's that. And then next we got 3 Gravekeepers Recruiter. He's basically your searcher of the deck. Goes up to 1700 and 2000 attack and defense under Necrovalley, but whenever he's sent from the field to the graveyard, you get to search your deck for Gravekeepers with 1500 or less defense. So that's always really good. Use this to search out your Commandants, your Descendants, your other Gravekeeper monsters that you can search. Just really good. Next up, I'm playing 2 Gravekeepers Heretic. This is just purely for like control, and for the fact that it is unaffected by most card effects while Necrovalley is out on the field. Like, case in point, when I use this against the dinosaur deck, their field spell doesn't do anything to Heretic, so Heretic's able to run over most every small dinosaur that they have out on the field. Even when they have use the field spells effect to save their dinos. Heretic's just good overall because it doesn't fall to the stat deduction that their field spell has. And then against other decks like True Dracos and Zodiacs, this gets around at least Trident, gets around other problematic cards, and then True Dracos, I guess for the most part, it survives one hit from either their spells or their trap effects, whatever that may be. But Heretic's overall really good, and also an 1800 body on board is also pretty good as well. And then lastly for the Gravekeepers, one Gravekeeper's Descendant and one Shaman. Descendant, it's not that great at the moment right now because True Dracos, if they tribute a monster to summon themselves off, they're going to be unaffected by monster effects, so Descendant falls flat right there. And against Zodiacs, even if I try and use Descendant's effect, they can use like a Solemn to negate Descendant's effect, or even like chain a Trident just to destroy Descendant if I'm targeting Trident as well. But overall, Descendant's still always going to be a great Gravekeeper monster. It always has been. It's just right now, one copy is actually all that you really need, and it's like I'm not sure what I could do to bump this up to 2, because I've learned over the course of the time up until now is that Descendant's good, but if you have more than one, it's kind of not so good. So you want at least to spread out your resources as much as you can, and Descendant at 1 in this deck kind of just helps out overall. And then the one Shaman is basically your soul drain of the deck. It basically negates any monster effects that happen in the graveyard. So against like Zodiacs and or True Dracos, it kind of works a little bit, not as much as I would have liked. It at least stalls out Zodiacs a little bit because their graveyard effects will be nullified. The same can be said for when while Necrovalley is on the field, because Necrovalley just shuts down Zodiacs for the most part. And then also Shaman allows you to protect your Necrovalley as long as she's on the field. And then lastly, she gains 200 defense for each Gravekeeper you have in the graveyard, so that's also pretty good. Takes a while for her to die essentially, but it is what it is. But I like these 2 Gravekeepers at 1. And then lastly for the monsters, because it's basically control and anti-meta, we have 2 Thunder King Rai-Ohs. This is really good against Zodiacs because it stops their Rat Peer plays, their other search effects that they can try and get off. And from times you can use Thunder King to negate one of their Zodiac summons from the extra deck, so that's also really good. Against True Dracos, the only thing it really stops is their search capabilities, but besides that, they're still able to get over Thunder King Rai with these. And then against other decks, Thunder King Rai is just really good in general against them. And then 1900 body is like also always really good. And then lastly, the 1 Maxx to run out the monsters. Onto the spells, we got the triple Necrovalleys. This is just staple in every single Gravekeeper deck. Sometimes I see other Gravekeeper deck profiles run at least maybe 3 copies or like 2 copies, but I find that just befuddling. 3 Necrovalleys is like necessary. And then with the new Errata 2 Necrovalley, it allows you to get the upper hand against Zodiacs, because they can't really move any cards in the graveyard at all. Like if they try and revive a Rat Peer, or even like use an effect that's in the graveyard that revives itself, that no longer can happen anymore. So like Blackwing Surfos the Elite is like not an option anymore, or like any other cards of the same nature. But besides that, Necrovalley is always going to be an amazing field spell, and Floodgate to boot, because it does act as a floodgate against most other decks. But 3 Necrovalley, super standard, super stable. It's best to run 3 or none at all. Next for the spells, we got triple Card of Demise. Again, with the exception of the Gravekeeper Spy, this deck doesn't special summon really at all that much throughout the game. So the Card of Demise is always going to be a great card overall. The only downside is if you use this card and you happen to draw more of your Necrovalleys. Downside is you have to send those Necrovalleys to the graveyard at the end of the turn. But besides that factor, I think as long as you can keep 1 to 2 Necrovalleys spread out between the field and your deck, you should be good to go in order to win the game. This is just really good because it's like if you top deck this with no cards in hand, it's just like you get yourself back in the game that quickly. So Card Demise is probably going to be a really card for a long time. Next up to Gravekeeper Stele, self-explanatory. Use this to bring back some of your Gravekeeper monsters that you need, such as your Commandants, your Recruiters, your Spies, even your Heretics. Just really self-explanatory. Just get back your Gravekeepers that you need and just continue on from there. Best part is it's unaffected by Necrovalleys, so that's a win-win right there. Last for the single spells, we got 1 Royal Tribute, 1 Book of Moon, and 1 Rai-Oh. Royal Tribute, super stupid against both Zodiac and True Dracos. I would really love it if Konami would bring this back to 2, but I don't see them doing that anytime soon, because 2 Royal Tributes would just make Gravekeepers on top of the world again. But I always like Royal Tribute. Like if you can expend most of your hand to the field and use Royal Tribute, you're basically getting rid of nothing, but your opponent gets rid of like maybe 5 or even 6 monsters in their hand, which is always fun and interactive. Except when you go against Darkworld, that's when things get bad. Then the 1 Book of Moon, just like I guess get to nullify certain monsters, or even like to use on your own Spy to resummon another Gravekeepers from your deck. It's always really good. I might take this out eventually, but for now it's just good like toolbox removal in a way. And then the 1 Rai-Oh, self-explanatory there. That's it for the spells. Onto the traps. We got the Solemn Brigade, we got the Triple Strike, and the 1 Warning. Just self-explanatory. Effect and Summon Negation. You have pretty much the entire kit caboodle right here. So the Solemn Brigade still really good. And this is basically anti-meta, so you need the anti-meta-ish in the deck. The 2 Imperial Tombs. This is pretty much the Infernity Barrier of the Gravekeeper archetype. The only difference between the Infernity Barrier and this is that it requires both the Gravekeepers and a Necrovalley on the field in order to really use it. But 2 Imperial Tombs still really good in Gravekeepers. I always like this card a lot. 2 Dim Barriers. This card is okay for now, but once we start getting more link monsters in the game, this card's really not going to be that useful anymore. It's still really good against Zodiac, still really good against like ritual decks, like any deck that falls under Dimensional Barriers category. And like against pendulum-based strategies, this is also a really good card as well. But I feel like Dim Barrier might make its way over to the side deck, so I can try out other cards. But I don't know. Next up for the traps, I have 2 Mirror Forces, 2 regular Mirror Forces. I couldn't decide which other Mirror Force to run at the moment, because again, I'm just now returning back to the game. A lot has changed since the last time I used this deck. I think originally I was running the Storming Mirror Forces, but I could probably put those back in. But for now, I just decided to use the regular Mirror Forces, just because to kind of get a feel of what the new Link format has turned into. I might even just look into investing in some Drowning Mirror Forces, because Gravekeepers can lose some of their monsters pretty quickly, and if they don't have any monsters at all, they kind of are dead. So I almost think a Drowning Mirror Force might be the best Mirror Force for this deck. Either that, or just add back these Storming Mirror Forces. But the regular Mirror Forces, this is just really good against almost any deck in general. Even if it's their monsters can't be destroyed by card effects, it's still like really good against other rogue matchups. So 2 Mirror Forces, pretty good overall. Then for the single traps, we have 1 Bottomless, just generic monster removal. One Macrocosmos, again, to try and nullify the Zodiacs and their Zodiacs and True Dracos, nullify all their spells and traps and their monsters, just get them out of the game as possible. Starlight Road for Twin Twister purposes and other reasons for that matter, and one Torrential Tribute to round out the traps. Moving on to the extra deck, the entire extra deck is basically all toolbox based, so pretty much what you see here is pretty much what you can gander as like toolbox-esque type of deal. We got the one Stardust Dragon to go with the Starlight Road, one Abyss Dweller, just take care of graveyard effects. Karen Gorkin, keep targeting effects away from your Necrovalley as best you can, and from any of your other cards, just try and redirect them back to your opponent. Always a really good card in Gravekeepers. The one Castell, self-explanatory there. Dark Rebellion Exceeds. One Evil Swarm Nightmare. This hasn't come up quite a bit at all. It's really in here for those rare pendulum matchups. If I need a way to try and stop a big pendulum summon, or to try and prevent a big pendulum summon. Even though the Solemns help in that aspect, this also just adds like an extra solemn way to it. But Nightmare's okay. Cowboy, because Cowboy wins games, because why not? One Tornado Dragon, some extra spell and trap removal, because if you notice throughout my main deck, I have almost no spell and trap destruction in the entire deck, so Tornado Dragon kind of makes up for that factor. And also Descendant kind of helps too in back row destruction, but Tornado Dragon is really helpful in this deck because, like I said, it allows you to run like 2 copies of MST without really running the card in the deck. But Tornado Dragon, really good. I might even bump this card up to two copies in this deck just because it's so good. Next, one Diamond Crab King. I need some ways to try and get over the Masterpiece True Draco. The Diamond Crab King is able to run over it by just 50 more attack points. But then other times this card is just like not super useful. But against the True Draco matchup, this card's okay, except that they have other attack boosters than the Crab King falls flat. But it's still a really good card. And then it's like, if you're running against Cosmos, this card's always good too, which I haven't seen in a while. Master Key Beetle, again, much like the Karen Gorgon, protect your Necrovalley, protect any of your key cards like your Macrocosmos, your Solemn cards, if anything, or even protect some of your Gravekeepers, or like use this on a Gravekeeper's recruiter, and if they're trying to just go after your Master Key Beetle, use Key Beetle to destroy a recruiter, and then just plus off of it by getting a search. But Master Key Beetle still really good in Gravekeepers. Next up, one number 70 Malevolent Sin. This is almost similar to Castell in the fact that it deals with monsters on the field that your opponent has. Basically, you detach a material to target a monster your opponent has. It is banished until their next standby phase, and by the end of it, you're able to bump this guy up by 300 attack. So Malevolent Sin is like one of those OTK bearers that comes in really handy every now and again. Also, I kind of like this card. Not many other people play this card, but it's like free monster removal for a turn. So it's like a win-win situation if you can manage to pull it off in a wide explosion in a way. Number 101, just again self-explanatory monster removal. Just get rid of those problematic special summon monsters. Sound on Arc's always good. Number 103, it's rare you'll ever use this card's effect, but against Zodiacs when they have Fire Formation Tanky out on the field, it's always really good there. And then the Utopia package to round out the extra deck. Alright, that's pretty much it, guys. That's been my updated Gravekeeper's deck and my return video for the start of the Link format season. I do have a couple of other videos lined up and ready to go online. But besides that, that's been my updated Gravekeeper's deck. Let me know what you guys think, and hope you guys enjoy. I'll see you in the next one.